There's a kind of intelligence that no teacher can explain, no classroom can contain, and no book can fully capture. It's not the intelligence that gets you good grades or earns you polite applause at a lecture. This intelligence lives in shadows, forged in silence, sharpened in moments of pain, betrayal, and survival. It is the kind of intelligence that makes the world stop and pay attention, even when you say nothing at all. And Machiavelli, the man whose name became synonymous with cunning, manipulation, and power, would call this the most dangerous kind of intelligence you could ever possess. Think about it. How many times have you seen the so-called smartest person in the room lose to the quiet one in the corner? How many times have you seen the outspoken, confident leader slowly outmaneuvered by the one who appeared harmless, patient, and reserved? History is filled with these people. They rarely reveal themselves because their advantage depends on your blindness. Their strength is subtle. Their genius lies in being underestimated. Machiavelli admired them because they understood something that most never grasp, that true intelligence is not in being known, but in being unpredictable. This dark intelligence begins with emotional disconnection. Most people are ruled by their feelings. They flare up when insulted. They collapse when rejected. They cling to others when lonely. They are slaves to moods, to impulses, to insecurities. But the dangerously smart individual steps back. He sees emotion like a wave, powerful but temporary, something to be watched, not something to drown in. When someone insults him, he doesn't bite back. He watches, he studies, he calculates what the insult reveals about the other person's weaknesses. When someone tries to provoke him, his silence creates discomfort. People wonder, why didn't he react? That silence is not weakness, it is a weapon. Machiavelli himself wrote that a leader must appear passionate when necessary, but privately remain ice cold, because the one who cannot control his own emotions can never control the emotions of others. The dangerously smart person has already mastered this. From there, another layer forms, the art of surgical observation. Imagine walking into a room and noticing things no one else sees. The twitch in someone's jaw that signals hidden anger. The slight shift in someone's chair when a particular name is mentioned. The way two people glance at each other before answering a question. Most people are blind to these details. But the dangerously smart individual doesn't just hear words, he listens to silences, to contradictions, to inconsistencies. He is always gathering data. Machiavelli admired this in leaders because it made them almost prophetic, able to anticipate betrayal before it arrived, to sense opportunity before anyone else noticed. When you train your mind to observe like this, conversations are no longer random, they are maps revealing the terrain of another person's psyche. And yet, observation without control is nothing. The next trait is controlled presence. There's a way dangerously smart people carry themselves. They don't rush, they don't over-explain, they don't fidget. Their movements are deliberate, almost economical. They let silence stretch longer than is comfortable, and in that silence, others reveal themselves. Imagine being in a negotiation where one person keeps speaking to fill the void, while the other just sits calmly, watching, waiting. Who truly has the power in that exchange? Machiavelli said it himself. Power is not only about force, it is about perception. Appear strong when you are weak. Appear weak when you are strong. A calm presence confuses enemies and disarms rivals, because people expect noise, not composure. And so the dangerously smart individual dominates without raising his voice. But here's where it gets even more unsettling. This kind of intelligence is rarely visible because it's not flashy. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to prove itself. In fact, its greatest strength lies in being underestimated. People dismiss the quiet one, the reserved one, the seemingly ordinary one. And in that dismissal, they expose themselves. They revealed secrets they would never share with someone they feared. They relaxed their guard, never realizing that every word, every gesture, every slip is being catalogued and analyzed. The quiet person is not weak. The quiet person is hunting. And when the time is right, the strike is decisive and final. Think about the fox and the lion, Machiavelli's famous metaphor. The lion is raw power, but predictable. Everyone knows when the lion is coming, but the fox can move unseen, trick enemies into traps, and escape when force would only bring destruction. Machiavelli argued that the most dangerous leader was one who combined both the brute strength of the lion with the cunning subtlety of the fox. And that is exactly what dangerously smart individuals do. They don't just think, they adapt. They don't just respond, they anticipate. They don't just fight, they make others fight for them. But perhaps the most chilling trait of all is this: dangerously smart people know how to disappear in plain sight. You've probably experienced this. You meet someone who doesn't say much, doesn't reveal much, but for some reason they linger in your mind long after the conversation ends. You replay their words, their silences, the way they looked at you, and you start to wonder, what did they mean? What do they know? That lingering effect is intentional. It's the mark of someone who doesn't seek to impress in the moment, but to haunt your thoughts long after they've gone. Machiavelli understood that the greatest leaders and manipulators don't just control situations, they control minds, often without people realizing it. At this point, you might be thinking, this is fascinating, but how does it apply to me? The truth is, every interaction you have is a test of power, whether you realize it or not. Every conversation is either moving you closer to control or further away from it. The dangerously smart individual understands this and treats even the smallest exchanges as opportunities. They don't reveal unnecessary details. They don't rush to defend themselves. They don't waste energy proving their worth. Instead, they let others talk, reveal, expose. The more others speak, the more weapons they hand over. And when the moment is right, the dangerously smart person uses those weapons not out of cruelty, but out of precision. And here's the thing most people never grasp. This intelligence is not about manipulation in the cartoonish sense. It's not about being evil or deceptive for its own sake. It's about survival. It's about moving through a world where people are constantly trying to use you, control you, and pull you down. Machiavelli knew that in politics, in business, in life, those who clung to innocence, who refused to see the darker realities of human nature, were the first to be destroyed. The dangerously smart person isn't cruel. He's realistic. He doesn't live in fantasies about how people should behave. He sees how they actually behave, adapts, and that's why this intelligence is dangerous. Because it cannot be faked. It cannot be forced. It can only be developed by those willing to shed illusions and face the truth. It requires patience, discipline, and above all, the courage to step outside the ordinary rules that most people blindly follow. The ordinary person seeks approval. The dangerously smart person seeks advantage. The ordinary person reacts. The dangerously smart person waits. The ordinary person explains. The dangerously smart person watches. And in that contrast lies the difference between the one who is manipulated and the one who manipulates. So ask yourself, how much of your intelligence is still trapped in needing to be seen, needing to be validated, needing to be praised? Because as long as you crave recognition, you are vulnerable. As long as you are predictable, you are weak. Machiavelli would tell you, hide your strength until it is needed. Conceal your brilliance until it is undeniable. And never let anyone see the full depth of your mind. That is how intelligence becomes dangerous. That is how you stop being another pawn on someone else's board and start becoming the one moving the pieces. And yet, this is only the beginning. Because emotional control, observation, and presence are just the foundation. The true mastery comes when you learn to speak in ways that control others, to use silence as a weapon, to craft an aura so untouchable that people bend before you without understanding why. That's where this intelligence turns from quiet power into unstoppable force, and that we'll uncover next. Imagine someone who doesn't just control themselves, but controls the reality around them. Someone who speaks sparingly, but whose words echo like thunder. Someone who doesn't chase power, but somehow always has it. This is the next stage of dangerous intelligence. The ability to shape the perceptions of others without them ever realizing it. The average person talks too much. They spill their emotions, their secrets, their fears. They think honesty means exposure, that vulnerability means respect. But Machiavelli would tell you something far harsher. People are not noble. They are selfish, they are envious, and they are always calculating what they can take from you. To reveal too much is to hand them weapons they will later use against you. That's why the dangerously smart person speaks like a sculptor, each word chosen, each phrase precise, nothing wasted. They reveal just enough to guide perception, but never so much that their true intentions are exposed. Consider how people respond to silence. Most find it unbearable. In a conversation, silence feels like a void that must be filled, and so they rush to fill it with words, excuses, explanations. But the dangerously smart person weaponizes silence. He lets the void grow larger, knowing that in their rush to fill it, others will reveal their weaknesses. In negotiations, in conflicts, in arguments, whoever speaks less often has the upper hand. Why? Because silence breeds imagination. The other person begins projecting thoughts, doubts, and fears onto you. They imagine you know more than you. Do they imagine you're stronger than you are? And in that imagination, they hand you control. Machiavelli said a ruler should be both loved and feared. But when you use silence, people fear the unknown in you more than anything you could ever say aloud. This brings us to the next trait, the manipulation of appearances. Most people believe reality is what it is. But Machiavelli understood that perception is more powerful than truth. People rarely see what is real. They see what they want to see, what they fear to see, or what they are led to see. The dangerously smart individual crafts an image deliberately, like a mask. They may appear humble, harmless, agreeable, even weak. But this appearance is a trap. Because when people lower their guard, they make mistakes. They underestimate. And underestimation is the greatest advantage you can give to a predator. Then, when the moment comes to reveal strength, it shocks, it terrifies, it destabilizes. People ask, how did I not see it before? That is exactly the point. By controlling appearance, the dangerously smart person writes the story others believe, while keeping the truth locked away. History gives us endless examples. Think of rulers who appeared generous but secretly plotted betrayal. Think of leaders who appeared ruthless but carefully disguised compassion when it served them. Machiavelli admired both. He said it is not necessary for a leader to be truly virtuous, only to appear so. It is not necessary to be feared all the time, only when. Fear secures obedience. The dangerously smart person doesn't live in the prison of authenticity. He understands that identity is fluid, and the right mask at the right time is worth more than sincerity. But there's a deeper mastery still, the ability to control desire. Human beings are predictable because they are addicted to wanting. They want approval, money, status, love, attention. Most of their choices can be traced back to these cravings, and yet they rarely admit it. They cover their desires with noble language, claiming they just want fairness, or just want peace, or just want happiness. But beneath those words is always the raw hunger for something they feel they lack. The dangerously smart person sees this instantly. He studies what people crave, and he offers it just enough to bind them, like bait on a hook. He knows that people are easier to control through their desires than through their fears. Because when someone fears you, they resist. But when they desire what you offer, they willingly chain themselves. Machiavelli called this manipulation of hopes and fears the essence of ruling. To govern men, give them something to chase, even if it is an illusion. At this point, the dangerously smart individual becomes something more than just an observer. He becomes an architect. Every word, every gesture, every silence, every appearance is crafted to produce a reaction in others. And the strange thing is, people rarely recognize it. They believe their choices are their own. They believe they are acting freely, even as they walk exactly where they are being led. This is why Machiavelli's writings were so feared. He exposed the uncomfortable truth that most of human life is manipulation, whether in politics, relationships, or daily interactions. The ones who deny this are not noble, they are victims. The ones who embrace it are not evil, they are prepared. Now some might recoil at this. They might say, this sounds dark, this sounds immoral. But ask yourself, when has the world ever rewarded the purely good? When has innocence alone ever protected anyone from betrayal? The harsh reality is that those who refuse to see human nature clearly suffer the most. Machiavelli didn't invent cruelty, deception, or manipulation, simply described it. The dangerously smart person accepts it, and in accepting, learns how to survive and even thrive within it. To reject it is to remain blind, and blindness is fatal, and yet, the final secret may be the most unsettling. The dangerously smart person does not seek constant victory. He does not fight every battle. He chooses. He waits. He lets rivals destroy each other. He lets time weaken enemies. He avoids unnecessary risks and strikes only when the outcome is certain. This restraint, this patience, is what makes him unstoppable. Because while others exhaust themselves, chasing approval, attention, and fleeting victories, he conserves his strength. And when he finally moves, it seems effortless. People wonder, how does he always win? But the truth is, he does not always fight. He simply knows which battles matter and which battles are illusions. So here is the harsh reality Machiavelli would want you to understand. The world does not reward the loudest or even the smartest. It rewards those who see deeply, who control themselves, who guide others without revealing their hand. To become dangerously smart is not about reading more books or collecting more knowledge. It is about transformation. It is about rewiring the way you see people, the way you see power, the way you see yourself. It is about letting go of illusions, mastering silence, controlling desire, and turning perception into a weapon. And once you reach this point, people will never look at you the same way again. They won't know why, but they'll feel it. In your presence, they'll hesitate. They'll measure their words. They'll sense that you see more than you reveal. Some will admire you, some will fear you, but all will respect you. That is the gift and the curse of becoming dangerously smart. Because once you cross this line, there is no going back.